Welcome back, haters. Man, do we have an exciting podcast for you today. I'm Mikey Dimes, and you are listening to the You Hate to See It podcast, where we talk about all the things you love and hate to see, obviously. Today, we're going to do something special. We're going to go back to our roots. I don't know a lot of our new listeners.
The roots.
We actually, and originally, were the Tales from the Shadow Tower podcast. I thought you were going to do the echo. Where we used to discuss the greatest show that ever was or will be on television. That's Game of Thrones. But today, the haters you see on the screen, we're about to talk about the newest addition to the greatest show that ever was or will be, and that is House of the Dragon.
Whew.
And we are
Let's go.
Long time coming. Before we get started, again, I am Mikey Dimes.
Oh, I'm Kari, KP.
D Wild.
Yes, sir. The originals were back. For a lot of you guys that know, this is actually again how we came. This is legit the crux of the matter. This is why we podcast, and it's from Game of Thrones. So we're glad to be back. So let's take
Game of Thrones.
Yes, sir. Nerd talk. Nerd alert.
Let's fucking go, man. All right, man. So
nerd.
It's been 3 years, man. Last episode of Game of Thrones was 2019. It's been a long time. We've had a lot of time to kind of unpack what we saw.
Was it really 2019?
Yeah, man. We've had time to rewatch. We've had time to really let it sit and simmer. So I just wanted to do a Tales from the Shadow Tower. Where are they now? Where are you right now in your Game of Thrones journey?
From the originators of Tales from the Shadow Tower. I mean, I guess we're all technically the originators. I mean,
we had some guest appearances at least back then.
Yeah, you're right. I think Darth Hillius, me and you did start the first couple episodes alone, and then Kari and Dante is like, we got to get on this.
Yeah.
But as for where are we now? We just kicking. I mean, we're obviously still major throne heads. At least I'm speaking for myself, still a major throne head. It's still, in my opinion, no matter how you feel about how the season ended, it's still the greatest show that ever was or will be. So I'm coming into this, I'm like a kid in the candy shop. I'm just salivating for some more content.
Yeah, bro. Everybody that hates on Thrones, it's like, why? Like they I know for a fact you watch worse television and give it better reviews. So it's like it's very hypocritical. As terms of what I've been doing, I've just been trying to stay tapped in, but not spoiled. Like that's what I'm saying. Because I'd be deep diving on the wiki and stuff. I know like loosely, like the what this show is going to be about and kind of like how it's going to end. But I mean, it's already, if you're a book reader, you know that without a doubt. So, but there's still a lot of like gaps in what I know. Just been trying to prevent myself from coming in with expectations and just enjoying the show that was probably one of the biggest cultural movements in the recent history, especially when it comes to like TV and film. Like Thrones made nerds cool, bro. Like that, we was talking about that earlier, wasn't we, Alex? Like,
yeah, I remember like back in middle school and high school, like niggas was out here laughing at me because I'm out here into One Piece, like into Dragon Ball Z, like still like into this quote unquote nerd shit. I'm like, I mean, y'all missing out, but all right, bet. Now look, it's about to say it's 2022 now, but like the nerddom has been a part of the zeitgeist for years now at this point. And like you said, like Game of Thrones is what helped boost that fantasy element, that nerd element more into the mainstream. And now, I mean, you can't, like, every other song you hear on the radio now is biting some sound or something from some anime. Like you can instantly pick it up. Like, oh damn, we turned Super Saiyan now in this song.
Yeah.
Like
Netflix making 20 live action shows,
right? The One Piece live action show is about to come out, bruh. I don't know about that one. I'm hyped, but One Piece is weird, so I don't know how that's gonna really translate. But back to what we were talking about. Like I don't know, man. I'm hyped. I'm super hyped for this show. I was like just rewatching the trailer for it, and I'm like, yo, this
Yeah,
looks
man.
amazing. Like the budget for this hasn't gone anywhere. They still got that. They still got that HBO money. They're still
He's
at like
making
the the dragons in this show are gonna look insane,
Man, they're looking
insane.
crazy.
17 of them allegedly. There's supposed to be 17 in the first season.
17 of them things, man.
Mm.
Dang, yeah.
Like
So like, whenever they announced that this show is coming out, I guess it was like maybe last year, 2020. I was like, all right, man, I gotta get ready, man. I bought the book. I was like, I needed more of that Thrones in my veins, man. So I've been going hard. I might have went a little too overboard. I kind of regret knowing as much as I know going into this show, but man, I'm turned up, man. It's about to be lit.
expectations are literally through the roof.
Through
If
the roof.
like no matter what, like even if this ends up not being as hype as I think it is, it's still going to be better than 98% of shows that's ever been made. I feel like, and that's I don't know.
yeah, probably yeah.
This is gonna be
We're biased, of course, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, the numbers talk. So I'm just saying.
they're not here.
Right.
So.
All right, so before we get into more House of the Dragon hype, in the trailer specifically, they did announce that they're gonna do the Jon Snow spinoff. George is involved. Kit Harington's team actually brought the idea to George and HBO, so Kit is full go. He's ready to do it. So, what are we thinking about the Jon Snow spinoff? Are we excited, or we just want him to leave it alone? Or
Let me say this. John must first. Kit Harrington. Let me start with this. Must be hurting if he's coming back saying we need more Jon Snow content. Like, bro, Eternals must have been like really bad. He's like I don't know, that spinoff.
Marvel check.
Marvel is ass, so yeah, I would want to get out of that shit as quick as possible too.
How I feel about it, inject that shit into my veins. More content, more, please. And if George is involved, I don't think we're gonna have an issue with it being good. Like, I mean, I'm curious to see what kind of story is going to be told. It is supposed to be, I think, like 10 to 15 years after the fall of the Iron Throne. So, like, maybe I could see White Walkers somehow being reborn into the universe again. It ends like with them starting their ascension. I don't know. Maybe we're going to be able to see.
Hey, what if he becomes the Night's King?
Yeah, maybe we see more lore into to the Night King and everything beyond the wall. I'm excited. I mean, if George is involved, then bet. Then that's all I need to hear.
I mean, King behind the wall King beyond the wall, like Vance Raider or whatever. That'd be cool, but I don't think they're gonna go that route. I think this will be like very more like I think this is gonna be like nomadic type shit.
I can see it being in politics or some shit.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be something like that. Like he's really just on his nomad shit. But in terms of like and the thing is, they signed George to a supermax. Like this nigga George has an undisclosed 8-figure deal for the next 5 years. I think the biggest gripe was like people like George is more involved in this show, and it's not just the Jon Snow spinoff. Like that's a sequel, yes, but they are working on 4 other shows. Like they are building out the Thrones verse. That's why they signed George to a supermax deal, like somewhere from 10 to 99 million. Anywhere in that 8-figure range. But it's like they've got a lot of stuff. They've got another because people liked Arya and the Hound. They're making a show called like Dunk and Egg, which is supposed to be like that dynamic and them two just traveling around. They're doing a show on the sea snake, who is going to be in House of the Dragon, since he's the one who essentially charted the maps of all the seas. So it's like, there were rumblings about like maybe getting Arya exploring like the world, but like we're going to get to see a black lead in the Thrones verse kind of navigating that. Like that's supposed to be. So Steve Toussaint's supposed to come out with that. Like there's a lot of stuff. They're working on anime, and Dunk and Egg is supposed to be animated as well. So they're doing live action and anime. Like they're building out the Thrones verse as an IP in general. And I couldn't be more happy for that.
You see, this kind of like puts more credence to the fact that like D&D fucked up, because
they could have been a part of it.
They had all of this in the bag, ready to like Thrones by season 4 was already the biggest thing on TV, and it only got even more hype until like season into season 6, when we get back to back 10 out of 10s and the Battle of the Bastards and
Winds of Winter.
Yeah, the Winds of Winter. I'm forgetting the episode, and like it's already at a fever pitch at this point. Like this stuff should have been in the works and in production
Absolutely.
back then.
Yeah, no kidding.
And like D&D should have realized, oh, like yeah, we've been doing this for 10 years, but we're part of like one of the biggest cultural movements in this country, like, well, entertainment cultural movements in this country in a long time, and we have the power and the means to really like knock this out of the park. And they're like, now we want to move on to other projects.
Nasty.
What?
And they haven't done another project since.
Yeah.
But
Right? See,
Aren't they doing Lord of the Rings or something?
oh wait, I think
they were doing
What is it that they took that they stepped out for?
They were supposed to. They signed a big deal with Netflix, and nothing has come out of that. They were supposed to do their own Star Wars trilogy. That got canceled.
Yes, that did.
Yeah, man, it's been tough sledding for D&D. So hey, fuck them.
I don't feel bad for them at all, though.
Yeah,
nah, I don't either.
Fact. Maybe they could come back on as like stage manager, 10 years down the line.
Stage manager, damn.
Man, my man, big Ryan Condal, man, at the end of the day, maybe you could be my intern type shit, man.
Condal, he's the principal's promise. I think he's going to be the one to take us all the way, man.
Condal's him, man. Let's go.
Zora High in the house.
Well, okay, so like that's something that we should probably talk through. The new showrunners for this. So we got Ryan Condal, a Thrones super fan. He literally got it for being a fanboy and like following around George, and then George
handpicked by George.
Yeah, handpicked by, and then you got Miguel Sapochnik, who got his Emmys for writing some of the best battles we've ever seen on television. With Thrones.
Yeah, man.
And hell, this is just this entire season is like just a glorified war for 30 years. So the next this is right in his bag.
Oh yeah. They really got a super team. What was that?
You think Ramin Djawadi's gonna be back? You think they're gonna do a new intro?
Oh yeah,
Ramin is back.
Ramin is back. Ramin is back on the soundtrack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Yeah, we got
everyone's
all
going to be in their feelings.
Game of Thrones assembled. Man.
Come on, man. What more do you want?
It is an all-star team, man. They're taking like the best things.
Intro, or you think they're gonna do like the same like iconic Thunder?
All right, so I've been tapped in with some people that were at the premiere, and so they not only did they say the first episode was like incredible, 10 out of 10, like one of the best episodes like of Thrones, period.
Wow!
Just off the first episode, they said that. And they didn't play the intro music. So
cold open.
Oh wow! They're holding out on the intro.
Yeah,
okay.
Some new shit coming.
Okay. So you're not gonna hear like dun, 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 dun. All right.
Some new shit coming.
I'm sure we'll get a new intro, but like we'll still hear the iconic. We'll still hear that iconic.
Yeah, they're gonna fit that in. They can't get rid of that.
Like he has to. Those final bells at the end of it.
Oh yeah,
that you hear
it's gonna be like a little remix type.
You got to hear that. We got to hear that.
I remember hearing something about. I think George was talking to Ramin about like the intro. He was like, when it comes to the intro, he wanted something to sound like medievally, but he's like he didn't want any flutes in it because they feel like that's just so like
overdone.
Like it's just like a stereotype. Like there's always gonna be like some light flute music playing. So like he had like initial trouble trying to make this happen, and then ends up turning this score into like top 5 most iconic intros of all time. So
like Thrones is something like you binge watch and you never skip the intro. It's like which is like a crazy thing. So it's like I'll be binging anime, boy. I be skipping the fuck out of intros, man.
For real,
trying to jump through. Like,
Ramin Djawadi is the next John Williams.
I think so. Yeah,
like John Williams still alive.
Yeah,
he's still here killing it.
Yeah, but I think he's had to go ahead and pass the torch. Like Ramin has done some crazy stuff. Like people will go to orchestra shows just for like, hey, it's Game of Thrones night. Like, and that Philharmonic is traveling, or you'll go to like, different symphony orchestras. He gonna help keep orchestras alive, man.
For real. I actually went to like two show the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back and Jurassic Park like in concert, and like because both of those are like composed by John Williams, And
John Williams has done some crazy stuff, and Pirates of the Caribbean. Like those things are played so often. Coming from a
they
nigga
are
who's in an
crazy.
orchestra for 6 years,
Mhm.
like those three sets of movie scores and stuff are played constantly and always do well.
I kind of wanted to ask this as well because we didn't stay on as long as I wanted to, but I know we were talking about with the Jon Snow sequel, and then the Dunk and Egg stuff. How are y'all feeling about, like, were those spinoffs that you want to see, or are there any spinoffs that you would have preferred to have heard that they're coming out with?
You know, I wish they would, stop bullshitting and just announce Arya. Announce the Arya sequel, man. Like, I don't want to see this. Look, man, all due respect, I think, because they announced that they're doing like a Nymeria show, who's like the original like Voyager, called 10,000 Ships. So I think that might be like a code name for the Arya show. But I mean, just announce that shit, bro. Maisie ain't doing nothing. She on IG like shaving her head and shit and being weird. Come on, man. You just throw her the bag, throw her a little bag and let's get this shit popping, man. Come on.
I don't know if she's doing it, bro, because they already announced the Sea Snake show, and that was kind of the premise of the Arya show. So
I mean, but
like that's a Voyager show right there. I mean, different stars, but wouldn't it be nice to see a black lead cook? Like, he's gonna have a prominent role, but he's not gonna be like the main protagonist.
Facts.
No, he is gonna be. You talking about in the House of the Dragon?
In House of the Dragons, he's gonna have a prominent role in the show, yes, but he will not be like a main protagonist. I'm saying in the Sea Snake spinoff, like he will be the focal point of that show, and like
that shit gonna be cool, man. Like that shit gonna be cool, but we all wanted to see Arya, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, I don't care to see the Dunk and Egg thing. Now that you said it was gonna be animated, I mean, okay, that's kind of cool, but that's still, in my opinion, should be bottom three of what's going to be produced. Unfortunately, as much as I want to see Valyria as a black lead, I would much rather see Arya and her sail out west, to be honest. But, I mean, I'm okay with the Valyrian, House Valyrian origin story, but I guess if I really wanted to see, like, if they're going to, like, depend on how magic-y they get into this, because a lot of the magic elements, they kind of, like, in Game of Thrones or D&D, they kind of just brought it up and then didn't explain the magic system at all within the universe of Game of Thrones. They just like, oh, magic's possible sometimes, maybe, or a lot of times actually. But I would much rather see them get into like the Long Night, the original Long Night, like exactly what that's about. I mean, obviously, since what we know from the White Walkers and all that from the original series, I mean, I would love to see that. Any other Targaryen, because the Targaryens, in my opinion, they are the best house, and they run the show, but I would love to see anything else with them.
Well, the show that they were gonna make before House of the Dragon was actually like the Long Night show, and like they cut a pilot, and they had the cast, because I remember like getting excited for that because like it was a cool like multicultural cast or whatever, and I was like, how are they gonna make this work? And then like they just kind of like canceled and pivoted to House of the Dragon, just ordered the series off the rip. So I was like, okay. And then there was a story that came out kind of like about how that like show ended up getting canceled. And it's like, basically they wanted like a safer bet. They thought like House of the Dragons is like everything that you want. It's like a war. It's a succession thing.
That's being built up. That's now that's like the deeper cut shit I think we can get into.
Facts, yeah.
I think like, see, I wanted to go back to and see like the fall of Valyria. Like that was the doom of Valyria. That was one of the sequels when they were doing it that I thought really would have been cool. Like I could see why people didn't want to do the Long Night again, because a lot of people were salty about the way the White Walkers went out. It's like either you like it or you dislike it. Like there's no people that are really in between about season 8 episode 3. Like people are either they like it or they don't like it, and so they didn't want something so to remind some people of that. And I would have liked to see the fall of Valyria. Like you still get the Targaryens, but the Targaryens were a lower house in that shit. So I think it would have been cool to see like other houses and like how Valyria was supposed to be like basically like ancient Rome. Like it was the seat of like civilization and all that stuff. And we would have got a lot more Essos. Like I want to get some more deep dive on Essos too.
How shitty the Valyrian Empire actually was with slavery and and all that. Even I would even like to see the Age of Heroes. I think me and KP talked about this as well. Just like
Oh, you going back?
Yeah, like I think I'd rather see prequel Game of Thrones content than shit after the current timeline.
Yeah,
I
would actually really like to see like some type of like anthology series of like all of these like all of the natural wonders of the world, like in the Westeros world. And what's the name? Lomas Longstrider, the dude who like wrote the book about all these like crazy places and like in the world, and especially like in Essos. Like I would love to see like like a story of like us finding out about the extra history about Essos. Like the giant the city of UT. Supposed to be like there was supposed to be like rumored to be even bigger than all of Valyria. And then the giant those giant black fortresses that are made of like the fused like black dragonstone that's like underneath the high tower. Like I would love to like find out like more about like shit like that. And like
how much more are we getting into? How much do they really want to go deep? Because like I said, if Throne wasn't anything like the four of us, like niggas want to see shit like that. They can build this up.
And then you can like with that one, you can very easily like make that like an anthology series and just have like having like people just like a story about UT, an episode basically what happened there and why it may have disappeared, like what's going on with like how the how Karth became like how it got its walls, like the Red Sea, like how it became because it wasn't always.
We get some more Dothraki back.
Yeah, exactly. We get more Dothraki, like more Dothraki stuff.
Make it
like
happen,
the Red Sea.
man.
Yeah, like and that's one way to make the show like the biggest gripe on Game of Thrones, and we, as Black creatives and people that appreciate the show, that's one way that you branch out. Like Essos is the more culturally diverse part of the Thrones universe, and that's like that's what it's seen as. And I was like, and Essos was, and people forget, like people think Essos is like, oh, it's like crazy, but Essos was the more developed part of the world before Westeros. Like Westeros was like kind of the Wild West, and Essos was the more civilized.
There were literally giants and tree nymphs running around.
Yeah, and when Essos had thriving civilizations and shit, going on when Westeros had
giants running around, there were thriving cities in Essos. Like when there was old magic in Westeros, the Valyrians were having cities greater than anything the world's ever seen in real life and or fiction.
Right. Hey man, that's what's so great about this IP, man. Like there's so much history, there's so much like you could just go back to like honestly a date and time in this fictional history and look at what happened. It's fucking nuts. George is him. This is the greatest IP. We just gotta see what HBO does with
and not only that, there are 2 whole other continents on the map that we don't jack shit about.
We don't talk about like, the southern isles, like in that continent down there.
Sothorios and Olthos. Like we like don't know anything about. We don't hardly anything about it. We know like some mysteries and some stories that some like legends about Sothorios, about how like they have giant man-eating dragons, or like not dragon, but like wyverns and shit. But like
and butterfly.
I mean, that's all myth and shit.
Yep.
Yeah, man. It's really crazy. So George, hey, keep collecting them checks and let's greenlight every show. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. Dunk and egg and dunk, man. I'll watch a goddamn Young Oberyn. Let's do it.
Young Oberyn would be a crazy show. And does all that stuff need to be live action for y'all, or would you like some animated?
They're going to build up. Yeah, if you're going to build Thronesburg, I'm okay with having some animated stuff, depending on how they do it. But I mean, it's not like something I'm going to like put over anything that's real. But
yeah,
damn.
But I wouldn't mind animation.
No, I wouldn't mind it at all.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But all right, man, let's get into what we came here for. We could talk about this all day, but let's talk about this motherfucking trailer, man. What's up, man? What's your hype level at 1 to 10 right now?
Man, the trailer made me a 12. This shit is it. This is it. This is going to be better than 80% of Thrones already.
Jeez, no cap.
Damn.
I was listening.
This is the hype pod.
I was listening to my man David Lightbringer. He was at the premiere.
Hey, I was him too.
Lightbringer
him. but he was basically saying, he was like, yo, this shit. He said, like, you know how most first episodes like on Game of Thrones, first episode of the season, you're like setting the table type shit. He was like, nah, it's like epic off the bat, like first episode,
Damn.
like so much. I'm like, shit, chill.
I mean, that's how they did it. They didn't even shoot a pilot for this show. Like they got the idea right, and then they shot the whole season. They shot the whole season. They were like, which is crazy how like they do most shows. I think what like stuck out to me is people were saying like, oh, the show's kind of like white and it's like not feminist, but I'm like, I was like, both. First of all, that's wrong about Game of Thrones because basically the two leads in that show were like two women vying for control. Like it was a lot of men, but like Cersei and Dany were like kind of the only two standing.
That's what it all boiled down to.
And then in this show, you're gonna have two women leads fighting for it again, and I think that's what stuck out to me is like Alicent Hightower versus Rhaenyra Targaryen. Like that is what is gonna like they are childhood friends, and they said, oh, you know, we used to share the same heart, is what they say in the trailer, and they're like, well, and then Rhaenyra says we never actually did share the same heart because they both, you know, so you get to see a relationship grow and the closeness and then break and kind of fracture as they're on opposing sides.
Right. So what from the trailer got you guys like the most fired up, and then like what do you want to see from the show? You think?
What was crazy? I think what really stuck out to me was like the first part of the trailer when Viserys was like, I had a crazy vivid dream that was more real than anything he's ever had seen, and he kind of goes into that. I'm like, okay, so we're bringing back the magic system, we're bringing back this, and I was like, if just what it seems like going based off the trailer, I think we're gonna just kind of again like fan service to the nerds, kind of get deeper into the lore of what's going on. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, now we're getting. Then it goes like a cut shot to Viserys on the throne, and it has him bleeding, and I was like, okay, this is like, okay, we really like because Joffrey in Game of Thrones in the book they said the Iron Throne used to like disfigure Joffrey, like it always cut him. We never ever saw that visual in the show, and it's like, okay, now we're seeing just that the way the throne room looks compared to the other one. Like when I saw that, I'm like, okay, so we're getting Game of Thrones, but like I think a slightly more accurate representation of what George envisioned. So I was like, yeah, okay, this is.
Yeah, for me, like I thought like the entire trailer was just like one 3-minute long hype show for me. It's like everything that I saw, I'm like, damn, like this looks dope. Damn, that looks dope. Damn, these dragons look crazy. Damn, like the visuals look crazy. This is what like, and like the final dragon that we saw, like Vhagar at the very end, that motherfucker's huge. Like we thought that Dany's dragon, what was his name? It wasn't what was his name? Drogon. We thought that motherfucker was huge. Vhagar is the biggest thing since Balerion the Black Dread, and that motherfucker is going to be gigantic, and it's going to be it's going to be crazy to like to see all that again. And like there's that I was rewatching it today, and there's one line from that kind of stuck out to me, and it was like like a young Rhaenyra, she was talking about how like Targaryens are the closest thing to the gods than anything else. And like I remember thinking, like you brought this up, Dante, about how, you know, back in Valyria, like the Targaryens, they were like bottom rung people. Like they weren't shit. And now they're here in Westeros talking about how, oh yeah, like we're the closest thing to gods. I'm like, I mean, not really. Like you're very clearly fallible because like y'all have gone through at the time of this story taking place, you've already gone through an almost civil war in between within the family, and have had multiple kings and family members murdered and assassinated by other people and other family members. Like y'all really ain't shit.
Facts. Yeah. So like one thing you're reading Fire and Blood is because it's like the whole Targaryen history. You really like get a better feel for like how crazy the motherfuckers really are, bro. Like literally when they say like the gods flip a coin every time a Targaryen is born, like the coin, it's like a Harvey Dent coin. Like they both sides. It's crazy. Like for real. Like even the best of the best. Like we saw, like we've only seen like Daenerys and Viserys like as Targaryens on screen, really. And they was both crazy as shit. Ended up. So like seeing this many like Targaryens like interacting and like they really do believe that shit. Like they're like closer to gods than humans, just because they can ride dragons. And so like seeing like who's really on that like that old Valyria shit and like how they gonna all butt heads and like be crazy as fuck, like it's gonna be lit, man.
I like how you brought up the coin flip, the Targaryen coin flip thing, because I was watching again like the Comic-Con panel and all that with like them bringing in Daemon, like who's a villain and who isn't, and it's just like you flip a coin, you say it's like Harvey Dent, they're either crazy or great, and it's like even the great ones, like you can arguably say that Daemon Targaryen can go down as top 5 Targaryen just from everything that he's gone through in his life.
Daemon's him.
Yeah, he's him, but also he has a lot of things that go against him that can kind of like, would he make it to the Hall of Fame just because he's such an asshole, such a terrible person? But it's like, no, he would, because he was how great he was.
Right. Like, actually, I just thought about this. So, like, the Targaryen family as a whole, the entire Targaryens, are kind of like a giant representation of what Homelander is. Like, they said, like, it's like you flip a coin and it's, you know, you never know what you're gonna get. Like, you know, with Homelander, like we've seen him go crazy and just let people die. It's like for the fuck up because he don't give a fuck. But we also seen the parts of Homelander where it actually shows that like he actually cares about people and cares about like the people that are close to him. He actually like with his son Ryan, like we've clearly like he's shown like he wants to be a father and with everything with him and Soldier Boy. Like he wanted Soldier Boy to like he like looked up to him like a father. He wanted to be a family, and you see that these good parts of Homelander. But like just like the Targaryens, like almost like for the most part throughout history, they've been like pretty shitty, and like the only reason that people only really follow them is as out of fear, because up until like recently, you know, the events of what happened in Game of Thrones, like the Targaryens had the power because they literally had dragons behind them. Like they had the power to back up that fear. And like Homelander now, like he's Superman. Like he has like no one can really stand up to him. He has the power to back up why people fear him.
Yeah, they had.
Like,
I mean, they had dragons, and then they had wildfire. So
yeah.
like they always had something that was a source of power. And we saw how wildfire fucked up the Sept of Baelor. You know, I was like in season 6. So like imagining just using that like anytime they wanted to in war, like that's called a nuclear deterrent right there, folks.
Right?
Like so they've always kept like a kind of control over the kingdom with some kind of stuff. And I think another thing that stood out to me in the trailer is like we're really gonna see like, you know, you mentioned the dragons and everything. I'm interested. You get a couple shots of like the Dragon's Keep, and they've released some promo of like dragon keepers and stuff, and how it's like a whole like kind of cult following. And I was like, I'm really looking to dive into that, because like we're gonna see 17 dragons in the show. Like CGI budget is going crazy on this. I think they spent like 200 mil to produce the season. So like seeing what all gets involved with that, because you know, besides Danny has to confront like, oh, occasionally them burning some sheep, you know, and some shepherds, and then, you know, killing some kids. Like we're gonna see in depth like what it takes to really like keep these dragons around, and like the people that are involved in like that kind of cult following of a dragon keeper.
Yeah, plus one to that, like people would be like complaining, especially like season 7, season 8, like all the Reddit people be like, why don't dragons have armor? Why don't do this? First of all, these are the first 3 dragons in the world in like 70, 80 years. Like they don't, you know, you can't just fucking, hey, Dothraki, carve me up some fucking dragon armor. No.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But in this show, like we're gonna have like all the, you know, the infrastructure that's required for like dragons to thrive and shit. So they're gonna have armor.
Dragon armor, dragon saddles, like and shit.
Yeah. The dragon pit is like a huge fucking super dome. Like that shit is fucking ginormous. If y'all saw it, like on that overshot kind of shot in the trailer. But I don't know. Yeah, man.
Go ahead. I was going to say, I don't know if any of you guys brought it up. I'm also excited to see, like you were saying, the dragon pit and all that, but there's also unexplored places we haven't seen in Westeros. Not only that, places we have seen and how they differ from current events in Game of Thrones. Like, it's just like there's so much that we're going to be able to get into in this season, I think, and I think they're going to be able to satisfy a lot of what people want to see from that they missed out on the last season. You know.
Right. All right. So we know this is a Targaryen heavy show, but for the first time kind of ever in Game of Thrones, we're gonna get a black great house with House Velaryon. Valerion. We're gonna figure out how to pronounce that when the show comes out. But how does it feel, niggas? Finally have some representation in the show that we love, in the universe that we love.
Well,
They
you know,
all
like
they
Salvador
all look
said,
like OGs, like the silver hair. Like even when they show the cut of like the kid pulling up with the
Hey,
silver hair, I was like, that's hard. It's like
hey,
it's a
look,
little. It's
yeah.
like when Gohan goes Super Saiyan,
hey,
as like a
I'm
kid, like that was tough.
Hey, I'm usually anti, dread wigs. I feel like every dread wig is like bad. Like we all saw Mordo in Doctor Strange. We all saw, Jimmy Butler with
Nah, stop! Don't do
the fake
Jimmy.
dreads. But hey, the Valerian dreads are like the best fake dreads I've seen, on TV. So
Yeah,
they're
Steve
not
Toussaint is
perfect.
bald, bruh. Steve
They're not
Toussaint is
perfect,
straight
but
bald, and he got a
you
full head of
know.
hair.
So I
but
just
they
had
do
to
look fly
I just
though.
had to shout out because I seen Anthony, what's his name? Anthony Anderson with fake dreads.
Oh yeah, that shit was horrible.
I seen Mekhi Phifer with fake dreads. I seen motherfucking Lucius Lyon with fake dreads, man. So this is the best job so far. So shout out to HBO.
Well, technically, I think in the original Game of Thrones, Salvador San, the pirate, he's technically his family he comes from a great family of pirates, like pirate kings and shit. So that
Yeah,
is
Yeah.
technically a great black family house. But no, Valyrians being like how the Valyrians being the richest family and house in Westeros at the time, the sea snake being who he is as a voyager and like his power on the seas, like that even Euron Greyjoy or any of the Greyjoys couldn't rival. Like that's fire. The fact that we are
yeah,
finally getting this technically first great black character, and he has the history and lineage of what he does is just like, all right, fine. It's like
yeah,
it's opened the door for so many more fans to come in. It's like, oh, now we got black people like. Because I know in Westeros, I don't even think they even, just based off what I've heard and read, they don't even like look at like people based on color and shit. I don't know if that's true. Like their idea of black and white isn't the same there, but like I'm
yeah. Like
excited.
I mean, the
they never
black people
really
in
bring up
Westeros.
race. Yeah, but go
It's
ahead,
like
Dante.
it's like with what they're doing with them is like they're honestly gonna be like Steve Toussaint as the head of the House of Illyrian is like the new Tywin Lannister is how they're planning it and how they're prepping it. Like so that's how much power like this house will have in terms of like how much he's respected, how much money and wealth he has. Like a Lannister always pays his debt. They had straight gold mines. Like this man literally is a central political figure in the world and is
Oh
the
yeah,
head of that household. And then even the dynamic with how he interacts with like his kids and his dynasty is like he just wants them to get it's very very similar to like how Tywin interacts and the Lannister family, and that was one of the most important houses in the realm.
oh yeah. Hey, the sea snake is him. If
Yeah.
you want any takeaways going into this, if you want to take anything away from this pod, Daemon Targaryen, him. Sea snake, him. That's all I gotta say.
Anytime,
And
anytime.
the sea snake being black, like his family being black, just from what I know, it just makes it everything more lit, So yeah, just get ready, strap in for that because that shit's about to be crazy.
Strap in. Do y'all think though, like there? So like we know, we know how Game of Thrones works in terms of the formula. Do you think things are going to be new? Do you think it's going to be similar, just with new characters? Like, what do y'all think? What do y'all want to see different, and what do y'all want to see stay the same?
I mean, they got the formula to make it work. So I mean, I'm not saying like go, copy paste everything that Game of Thrones did into this show, but I mean, you can take many, if not most, of the elements that were in Game of Thrones and mix them into this story and still have it be a great original story, that is still still connected to Game of Thrones, but not a carbon copy of it.
I mean, that's why I hate on Marvel so much, is because they just like copy and paste a formula, right? And so it's like, and that's what the new showrunners have talked about. Like they've talked about, like, hey, you got to respect the show. But what's going on with this show is like the showrunners have talked about how they want to honor Game of Thrones and whatnot, but at the same time, like not make it just the same kind of copy paste formula, pump out the same thing that like Marvel does with all their movies, Like that's my biggest gripe against them, and I would hate for Game of Thrones to fall down that rabbit hole of like the people working on this and everything. Like you just got too much smart people working on this for you to just copy and paste a formula. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think it's HBO, so you're gonna have the sex, the violence, the gore. I really hope what they keep from like the show is like obviously the depth of characters. Like I'm rewatching now, and just like seeing these scenes with Braun, I'm like, man, Braun was really like one of my guys, man, like one of my favorite characters. Like who's gonna be the new Braun? Like who's just gonna be like the new random ass nigga that you just love to see? Like Podrick. Like who's gonna be a fucking
Sex God Pod.
Sex God Pod.
Hot Pie. Like every time you see Hot Pie, it's the day of celebration, man. So I'm ready for that. And yeah, man, that's it. Yeah.
Well, did y'all see sex is going to be very different in this show? Because it's like,
Hey, they said
they said
that, but reports from the first episode are saying that they fucking.
Oh, okay. Because I thought they said it was going to be like kind of minimized or whatnot. Get
They fucking.
Because they said it was supposed to be like minimized. They wanted to like make sexual assault, like they wanted to just be more culturally aware of like sexual assault.
That's cap.
That's cap. But they talk about like the dangers of childbirth in this, is from what I've read on it. It's like, it's a 50-50 whether or not people die. And they get into like the gory aspect of like having kids in like the medieval times and whatnot. So I think
that's just going to play a role. Absolutely.
Yeah, but we can't have a show full of incest, right? Because the Targaryens be fucking family members.
Hey, look. Hey, look, brother. If you're not prepared for incest, man, you might as well hop off the board now.
Look, man. John and Danny didn't really count. Them niggas grew up like on separate continents, didn't know shit. Like they didn't know about it when it happened. And
this shit about to count.
And we knew them. Yeah, that shit'll definitely count because they'll like they didn't know. They didn't know when it happened and and everything. And like even us as an audience, like we knew them as separate characters until that shit happened in the end of season 6. So we had 6 seasons of them as being like completely separate characters that you could like ship. Like I think if we had known they were like aunt and nephew, like from Rip, niggas not shipping that.
Oh, hey, this about to be prime incest era. Yeah, get ready, brother. All right, so we're talking about the kind of expectations we have for the show, and Game of Thrones was just so massive. Do we think that? Are we calling it Hot D? First of all, are we calling it Hot D, or is that sus?
Hey yo!
That's what they're calling. That's what the community's calling it.
Flag on the play.
That's what they're calling it. I just had to ask. Hey, facts.
I mean, same. You're right. Same.
I'm gonna say the full name. There's no way I'm gonna go out my mouth and say hot. I might text it HOTD, but I'm not about to say hot D. Like, hey, yo, that's so pause worthy, man.
What you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? Like, come on now.
All right, so do we think that House of the Dragon can have the same sort of kind of impact that Game of Thrones did? Do you think it will build on it? Will it be held as its own separate thing, or will it be like a either or type of vibe? What do you think?
Honestly, I feel like it could be either or, because Thrones hit at a time when we didn't know we needed it. Like it happened. Like Thrones was out, and like we didn't know that we really needed this to be in our life, like we did. And now this is it was not a sequel, but like the next project is like, I don't know if it'll have the same type of impact that Game of Thrones did. I don't know if it will, but I think it can though. And it all just depends on, it really depends on how our black leads are written, and then how like the dynamic between like the female leads as well. Like it really was going to come down to like how both of those characters, well, all of those characters are written, and if it's the same type of like similar dialogue and the same type of like character development that we saw in Game of Thrones for those type characters that like built up the hype that that is the hype god of Game of Thrones is now, then yeah, there's definitely potential that this show could match and exceed the cultural weight that Game of Thrones is carrying now.
Yeah.
I think I think I disagree, man. I'm gonna hear y'all out. Like I think there's only one first, right? You only got one first time. I think from a stance of like cultural impact, I don't think it can ever repeat what Thrones did because it was the first. Like you never really can have you can't have another first. I think it will be better than Game of Thrones at its start because I think Game of Thrones flew under the radar for like kind of the first two seasons. So I think it's definitely going to start off better than that. But I don't think Game of it. I don't think it like I don't think we should expect it to reach Game of Thrones peak season one straight out the gate. Like Game of Thrones at its peak was getting like 19, 20 million viewers. Like a week. Like
Yeah.
it was doing crazy numbers in terms of like, and that's like households. People would have watch parties. Shit, we'd go to fucking bars and watch that shit. So we're talking about like that many households tuning in to watch Thrones at a time. And I don't I don't think it's gonna, bro. I think some people like
It's gonna
we
take
are fans. There's some hardcore Thrones haters now because of the
yeah,
way it
it's gonna
ended.
take some time to get the trust back.
There are gonna be some people that just like that are just even though they watch worse TV because like I said like they watch worse TV but they're gonna be hating on it and they're not gonna tap in because they'll be like, oh, the show just ended because lol air Arya and I was like, and John killed Danny and all that shit. Oh, whatever, man. I have grounds to be. I have ground. Oh gosh, I have
All the hate.
grounds for Marvel to be ass, man. There are there's established grounds,
Oh my
bro.
god, we ain't
If I do watch worse things than Marvel, it's like a meme for
It's
the
like
reason to
Suicide
watch it. I'm
Squad.
not watching it with critique, as on my mind. I'm not trying to actually appreciate it for being quality film. Marvel out here trying to tell you that Marvel
Oh my god.
serves you shit and tells you it's quality film. Like that's what I'm saying.
Hey, don't get Dr. Hate started, man.
Come on,
Don't get
man.
him.
I was like, niggas always like to pick a fight, man, that they
All
gonna
right, man.
lose.
All right, this is our last thing, because we're supposed to be here talking about a trailer, not Marvel versus DC. But all right. So actually, here let me ISO real quick, man, because these ungrateful motherfuckers out here, man, these hating ass niggas, like, oh, Game of Thrones ending was shitty. These hating motherfuckers, man. Look, did this show give us the Battle of Blackwater? Yes or no?
Yes, it did.
Did this show give us the Red Wedding? Yes or no?
Yes, it
Yes, sir.
did.
Did this show give us the Purple Wedding? Yes or no?
It did.
Absolutely.
3 acts later. Literally 3
Did this
acts.
show give us Watchers on the Wall? Yes or no?
Yes, it
Yes, sir.
Did this show give us Hard Home? Yes or motherfucking no?
Ooh, at the end when he just goes, ooh, I was like, come on,
Yes,
bro. That shit
Did
was
this show
iconic.
give us the Battle of the Bastards? Yes or motherfucking no?
Yes,
Back to back,
I've never
10.
felt like I was gonna suffocate from watching a show, bro. Like that, like you. I thought I was John in that bitch. I was losing my own breath, man.
These motherfuckers want to act like the ending was so ass, like this show ain't have motherfuckers out here watching zombies and dragons, nigga. niggas really forget, bro. Like, nigga, this shit is motherfucking crack. This shit hit the streets like crack, nigga. This shit hit the streets like crack, and these motherfuckers out here acting like they too good to go back. Nigga, if you don't shut your ass up and watch this motherfucking show on August 21st. So with that being said,
testify.
With that being said, Tales from the Shadow Tower is offering amnesty. If you say I'm sorry right now for hating, if you say I'm sorry for hating right now, you can get back on the bandwagon early. Because when this show come out, man, I don't want to hear shit. I don't want to hear I don't want to hear none of that bullshit. Because we gave you fair warning. We said this shit's gonna be crack again. If Game of Thrones was crack, this shit is heroin. This shit is the next level. This is the opioid crisis. It's about to hit right now. Man, this shit about to hit like, ooh. So, with that being said, I'm gonna give everybody here an opportunity. Give the 30-second elevator pitch of why you should be locked in to House of the Dragon. Somebody start us off. Let's go.
Look, man, coming from a fellow hater, man, like coming from a nigga who is true to this and not new to this, man. As a hater, you gotta tap in to hate, man. So if you, you gotta tap in to hate, man. I was like, I be hating on Marvel. I heard Marvel was ass. Boy, I grabbed a big box of popcorn and ran to the theater, bro. You gotta. So even if you wanna hate, you gotta tap in. So tap in regardless. Love it or hate it, tap in.
All right, so why you should watch the show? Well, I mean, it's Game of Thrones 2.0. Like, if you love Game of Thrones, and you did, because you listened to this podcast, tap into House of the Dragon. Because not only are we getting like 17, 18, 37,000 dragons in this bitch, like, we are going to see like parts of Westeros that we haven't seen before. Parts that we've always kind of wanted to see and heard about, but actually we're going to get to experience it. We're actually going to get to see magic. Like, not Melisandre birthing out some shadow baby. That was crazy.
That was some weird shit. That was wild.
That was wild. But, and not her just randomly showing up, at the Battle of Winterfell and be like, all right, here, I'm going to light your blades and then peace out.
Yeah. And not like, Daenerys randomly being fireproof sometimes.
Yeah.
We're about to see like actual magic. Like the nerd shit that we was made fun of before and now it's cool. We're getting back to that. So tap in.
Pause.
I mean,
come on. So, what else do we got to say, man? August 21st, man. We back. Do y'all want to start doing this? Y'all want to record the pod the Monday after, or y'all want to go instant reaction? Like, how?
I'm gonna have to start watching. Like, we got to get three watches in. Watch it at the bar, come home, rewatch it as soon as we touch the couch, man.
All right,
get another one. Yeah.
So the pod's gonna be coming out on Tuesdays.
Yes.
So every Tuesday, starting on August 23rd.
Yeah.
Tap the fuck in, because we gonna be breaking this shit down. And when I say down, I mean down low. Lower than your credit score.
Nasty work.
Down low, credit score.
So look, until then, go rewatch the show. Be ready, because we gonna be motherfucking ready. Rewatch that trailer. Break that shit down. You know what I'm saying?
Hit up the wiki if you forgot, man.
Yeah, brush up.
The wiki is there.
All right. All of it.
All
Put this shit on the sizzle reel, Dante. Nigga, we want all the smoke. Man.
Yes, sir. Got
all that. The ringer will be coming for you.
Until next time, It's KP.
Darth Hilius.
D Wild.
All right, haters. Until next time, we out.